ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music and more.
What do Rasputin, Tupac and Pharaoh Ramses III have in common? No, it's not the weirdest boy band ever. They all met their end at the hand of an assassin. From seizing power to silencing dissidents, Assassins unpacks the moments in which someone decides that murder is the move. Search Assassins with Aslan Pahari on the ABC Listen app or wherever you get your podcasts.
After 9 years of abuse and control, Alliyah is starting to break free. The 21-year-old is turning away from their former teacher, Kellie Whiteside, and trying to put that period of their life in the past. Instead of spending time with Kellie, they're seeing more and more of M, the colleague who they've fallen for. But not even M knows the full story about what's happened between Kellie and Alliyah. And as she starts to ask difficult questions, Alliyah faces a reckoning and a decision. This is episode 4 of The Favourite, a 5-part series from Background Briefing. Reporter Julian Fell is with us again. Hey, Julian.
Hey, Tom.
So Alliyah and Kellie have broken up. Let's set the scene here. Does that mean they're going their separate ways? Is Kellie out of Alliyah's life for good?
Not exactly. It's going to take some time for Alliyah to disentangle themselves from Kellie. Remember, Alliyah hasn't disclosed the full truth to anyone yet. They haven't even moved out of Kellie's place. And then there's this holiday that they've booked together.
Ooh.
It was meant to be their dream trip, but in the heat of the breakup, Kellie says to Alliyah,
"You're not coming to Melbourne. We're done. It's done."
but ultimately neither of them were prepared to miss out on the trip. So they decide to go together. Before leaving though, Alliyah sets the ground rules.
I remember saying to her, as straightforward as I can, we are going on this trip as friends and nothing else. Like, I am with M now. And she was very like, yep, I understand.
Alliyah and Kellie fly to Melbourne and they rent a car to drive to the coast. And on the second day of the trip, Kellie tries to kiss Alliyah.
I was like, what are you doing? And she just started crying and saying that, like, you know, she doesn't understand why we can't have this trip as like a last hurrah together. Like, why can't we be a couple and kiss and have sex like normal?
Alliyah pushes her away, like annoyed that she's breaking these rules so quickly. And this argument, it carries on through the entire trip.
Okay, so Alliyah's made their feelings clear about the rules here, but Kellie doesn't appear to be on board.
That's right.
The trip was probably the worst 7 days in a row of my entire life.
Alliyah gets through it by calling M pretty much every night. Alliyah and M, they've known each other for 1.5 years by now, but they've only just started dating. And M knows that Alliyah and Kellie were together, but she thinks it was only for 1 year. One night at the end of the trip, Alliyah and Kellie are staying in a motel on the Great Ocean Road in Victoria. It's March and the sea breeze is cold, but when Alliyah gets a call from M, they don't want Kellie to be part of the conversation. So they walk outside the room and sit down to take the call.
And there was this little like plastic chair that was right outside the front door. And so I'm just sitting on this front chair looking at like the car park and like all the other motel rooms.
They're talking on FaceTime and M can see that like Alliyah's shivering in the cold, sitting on this little plastic chair. And then out of nowhere, M asks a question.
I said, like, when did you guys meet? And they were kind of like paused and they were like, oh.
It's a question that Alliyah's been bracing for.
As soon as she asked that question, I knew that there was going to be a little bit of judgment. And I remember saying, I've known her since I was 12. And she kind of just looked at me and she was like, oh, okay.
M's been trying to understand what she's been seeing between Kellie and Alliyah. Like the fights, the really intense breakup. It just wasn't quite stacking up.
It sounds like whilst M doesn't know the full picture, she seems to be aware there's more to this story.
That's right. And now with this new information, she's seeing it all in a new light.
I didn't really want to say anything because I didn't know how they felt about it all. It's so different when you're looking from the outside and like someone that you love and like I could see what was happening, but obviously a lot of people in the situation, they have no idea.
On the phone with Alliyah, Em's trying not to be too blunt about her suspicions. But Alliyah can guess what's on her mind.
She was kind of like implying it, and I was like, just say it. Like, just say what you're thinking. She was like, do you know what grooming is? And I was like, yes, I know what grooming is. And I was like, no, like, it's not like that. And she was like, it is. It kind of sounds like it is.
And this reaction catches Alliyah off guard.
Is Alliyah annoyed to hear that suggestion from Em?
Well, it's a bit destabilising because here's this person that they're falling for, someone who's seen none of their history, but even she thinks it's grooming.
Yeah.
So suddenly the cracks are starting to grow in this story that they've been telling themselves for years.
Anyone who brought it up before that, nah, you're wrong. I've not been groomed. She's not a predator. Even if I didn't think that Kellie was a predator then, I was definitely starting to think like, oh, has she groomed me? And it's just been unintentional. I think that maybe I might have been groomed. Like, the uncertainty kicked in after that phone call.
With this confronting thought in their head, Alliyah gets through the rest of the trip okay. And soon after they get back, Alliyah makes things official with Em. And then after a couple of months, moves in with her.
They were getting sick of living with Kellie, and I was living alone, paying like my full rent as a single mom. I was like, I can't fucking do this. And they were like, I think I want to move out. And I was like, please move in. I need someone to split the rent with. And so they ended up moving in pretty quickly.
Alliyah's caught between two worlds. They've broken up with Kellie, but they still feel like this obligation to her kids. But at the same time, they're falling for Em, and they haven't even told her the full story yet. Em still doesn't know just how early things turn sexual with Kellie, and it's weighing on Alliyah.
I was super like mood swings, agitated. Like, I was so up and down.
And one evening, it all comes to a head. Em asks Alliyah what's going on.
I was like, you're very like angry. Like, has something happened? Have I done something? Like, what's going on?
And I was like, I need to tell someone, and I need to tell her. And I just kept saying to her over and over again, once I say this, it can't be unsaid. Like, this is not something I can say and then take back if I regret it. And I was very scared that if I told her that she wouldn't want to be with me anymore.
But that night, as the two are laying in bed, Alliyah feels ready.
I was like, okay, like, I think I can tell you. And we were looking at each other, and I said to her, the relationship with Kellie didn't last 12 months. It started when I was 12. She was very neutral. And I just remember closing my eyes because I didn't want to look at her. And she just hugged me. And we just laid there, and that was it.
I just wanted to support them, and whatever that looked like, whether that looked like going to the police or getting into therapy or like whatever. And they said, I do not want to report. Like, I don't want to ruin those kids' lives. And I knew I could have gone and reported it myself, but I don't think that was what was best for Alliyah at that time. Like, they had to come to that conclusion themselves, and I didn't want to push them.
Alliyah's decision to tell Em the full truth is a real turning point. It's Alliyah's first shaky step into a world that isn't dominated by Kellie. It also forces Alliyah to face that question about going to the police. But before Alliyah can even answer it, it seems like someone else already has. Just a few weeks later, Alliyah gets a phone call from Kellie.
I was at work and I didn't answer it, and she was like, I need you to call me right now.
When Alliyah calls back, Kellie drops a bomb. Her ex-husband, Andrew, has apparently called the cops on her, and she wants Alliyah to cover for her.
She was like, what's the story? Are we going with the 12-month story?
Alliyah doesn't know what to do. They're caught between their future and their past, between the truth that they've finally spoken and this lie that they've told for years. They feel this obligation to Kellie's children to keep their mother out of prison.
I was like, I cannot betray her. Like, I have to protect her. She will go to jail. She will lose the kids. Like, this is not just about her. This is about 3 kids being involved as well.
The pressure is building. So when Alliyah calls Kellie back, the truth comes pouring out.
I was like, you groomed me. Whether or not you did it maliciously or not, you groomed me. You knew that I was already a victim and you made me even more of a victim, and I will never forgive you for doing that to me. And I'm like in tears at this point, finally saying this to her.
But Kellie's focus isn't on how Alliyah's feeling.
Kellie doesn't want to be caught.
She's focused on what Alliyah's going to say when the police come.
There was no emotion. As long as we're telling the same story, that's all she cared about. And I remember saying to her that I will try and protect her, but if they push me, I'm going to have to tell the truth because I won't lie to them.
But then nothing happens. The police never call. I went to Queensland Police to find out who had reported Kellie and on what grounds, but I couldn't get a clear picture of what had happened. All they said was that they'd received a report related to Kellie's ex-husband, but that it came to them via a local school. Ultimately, no formal complaint was made, so it went no further. As the weeks stretch on, it seems less and less likely that the police are coming. And so Alliyah begins to try to process what they've been through, the grooming and the abusive relationship that followed. And for that, they start seeing a therapist.
My first session with my therapist, I was like, straight off the bat, I need to know what your mandatory reporting is like, because the thing that I need to talk about, I'm not ready to go to the police about yet.
Because Alliyah is no longer a child, they're no longer in the abusive relationship, the psychologist doesn't have to report it to anyone.
She was very supportive with me, like just, being patient, the fact that I didn't want to go to the police.
Alliyah also decides to tell a few trusted friends about this new realization that Kellie had sexually abused them.
I spoke about everything and they were like, I can't wrap my head around the fact that we've been in this friendship group and this has been happening in front of my eyes this whole time.
One of those friends is John, the teacher's aide who met Kellie after she was transferred away.
Okay.
And Kellie had told John, remember, that she'd developed feelings for Alliyah.
That's right, but even John didn't know the full picture, did he?
Yeah, but now he's learning the full, terrible truth of it.
Apart from being surprised, it was more horrified, disgusted, betrayed, manipulated, and I was on the brink of just crying because I was just like, I can't believe I didn't say anything. I can't believe I didn't do anything, because now that the truth has come to light, it's like all the dots were just joined.
John quits working in schools and never returns to his master's in education.
I just went, nah, I don't want anything to do with teaching anymore, because now it's tarnished. That's all I can see.
So does he take any action?
Well, he's part of these conversations that are going
with
on
Alliyah.
With Em and Alliyah and some other close friends. They're trying to figure out whether reporting Kellie is like the right thing to do.
Why was I truly not going to the police? What was that reasoning? And could we overcome it? Like what could happen that was worse?
In February 2024, age 21, Alliyah makes up their mind.
Ultimately, one day, I got to the point where I was like, okay, I need to protect other kids from her, because clearly I don't know who she is. Like, she's turned, even just within a few months, she's turned into this person that I don't recognize. And I can't honestly, with my whole heart, say I don't think she'll ever do this to anyone else.
Alliyah's decided to go to the police.
This is a big moment, right? Alliyah has been dwelling on this for a long time. They've been seeking support from their friends, from a therapist. They've wanted to maintain this narrative that it was only a 12-month relationship outside school. This is big to finally say, you know what, I'm going to go to police and tell the full story.
Yeah, it's been 9 years. It's a huge moment for them, and they can't wait to tell Em about it.
They woke me up and they were like, I want to go to the police. And I was like, right now? This was like at 2 a.m. I was asleep. And they were like, no, not right now. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm going back to bed. And so, yeah, the next morning I was like, do you still want to do it? And they were like, yeah, but I need to tell my mum first.
Alliyah and Em head over to Jackie's place that night.
We thought they were coming over to announce they were getting engaged. So, yeah, it was definitely not what we were thinking. But when Alliyah said what had happened, I wasn't surprised. I was angry. I was angry at Kellie, obviously, but angry at Alliyah. I never told Alliyah that. I know why Alliyah lied. There was a child being manipulated by an adult, being brainwashed. So I don't blame Alliyah for the lies and the secrets. I know that's not their fault.
After telling Jackie, Alliyah and Em make the short drive to the police station.
They were very nervous. They were very quiet.
They've got a timeline all written out in this fuzzy notebook.
It was like a fuzzy SpongeBob notebook from JB Hi-Fi. And they had written down everything that they could remember to like be able to give them. Before that, they had gone through their phone and deleted a lot of photos of them together and stuff like that. But they found what they could to show as like evidence.
And Jackie meets them at the station.
And Alliyah was flicking through all this information in this, like a journal. That's when things started to sort of open up a lot more about just how much Alliyah had actually been through and how young Alliyah was when it started. And it was hard to hear.
The three of them walk into the police station together.
And the person at the front desk was like, how can I help you? And I was like, I'm here to report a crime. And she was like, okay, what kind of crime? And I was like, I was just molested for 10 years. She was like, okay, let me go get an officer.
The officer comes out and takes an initial statement. And he says he'll have to refer it to the Child Protection Unit.
Yeah.
And that Alliyah should hear back
within like 5 business days. And then I went home. That was it.
The wait is excruciating. Alliyah has no idea if Kellie will be informed or even arrested. But there are some positive things to keep them distracted. Alliyah's mums told their dad about the disclosure and the police report. And so after barely speaking for years, Scott reaches out.
About a few days later, they contacted me, and then we sat down, had dinner, and that's when Alliyah had filled me in on everything.
Jackie tells Alliyah's brother Seb as well.
I cried, obviously, because, you found out that something that you thought was true for so long was true. And obviously anger, because I've had to face this person God knows how many times, look at them thinking, this front rower is sleeping with, my little sister.
Finally, the police detective gets in touch, and Alliyah takes out their fuzzy notebook, takes it along, and they give this detailed statement over 2 long days at the station.
2 days? It must have been exhausting and potentially re-traumatising to go through that over a 48-hour period.
Yeah, and the process of going through it all, it brings up these questions like around all those other adults who had a chance to intervene.
Sitting down with one person and going through it all, that's when it hit me that there were these instances along the way where people did suspect and people did try and do something about it, and here we are nothing ever happened.
Jackie goes through the same in-depth questioning for her statement. And when the detective starts mentioning details that she's not heard before, Jackie's dealing with her own kind of realisation.
He was giving other information about what had happened and I didn't know. I still don't know. I still don't know the full extent of what Kellie did to Alliyah. After everything that they've been through, and this is selfish, I know it's selfish, I don't want those visions in my head of what that woman did to my child. I know that's selfish because Alliyah has to live with that for the rest of their life. And that's partly because of the decisions I made. But I can't have those visions in my mind.
In early 2024, Kellie Whiteside is arrested and immediately removed from her job at Trinity. She's charged with dozens of child abuse crimes. Later, she'll learn about the archive of photos and text messages that Alliyah's handed over to the police. Kellie's arrest kicks off this court process that's going to last over a year. And while the case grinds on in the courts, Alliyah's left looking back with all these unanswered questions. Like, how was Kellie able to get away with it for so long? Who could have stopped it? And there's one other huge question that everyone around them's asking.
What's that?
Well, it goes right back to when Alliyah was in primary school, and their parents raised those concerns with the principal about Kellie messaging Alliyah on social media.
Yeah.
And Alliyah still remembers Kellie's words after she was spoken to about it.
Her literal words were, Mr. Bunce told me that if I was a male, he would have fired me on the spot that day.
And looking back on those early years, their mum Jackie has a similar reaction.
I would have reacted completely different if Kellie had been a man. And I think everybody involved would have reacted completely differently.
When Jackie was giving her statement to the police, the detective allegedly told her something that really stuck with her.
Okay, what was that?
He said to me, this is a unicorn case. None of them at the police station have ever dealt with a female teacher molesting a female student. They've never dealt with it.
Jackie thinks that the reason that the school system didn't catch this predator is pretty obvious.
I think they just didn't take the concern serious because you don't really hear about it.
So Alliyah and their family are all wondering, was this why so little was done to protect them? And now they want answers. First, Alliyah requests their school records from Logan Village State School and Marsden State High. They want to know what the schools knew and how they responded, but straight away they run into a bureaucratic brick wall.
Their initial response was, we'll divert you to the legal team.
Alliyah's no lawyer, so this is all very confusing to them. Getting these simple documents that they're legally entitled to becomes a months-long battle.
It has probably been one of the most stressful processes, trying to get my own documents and documents that are about me that they won't let me have. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense.
So how does this battle play out?
Marsden eventually sends them through after a few months, but Logan Village keeps delaying handing the documents over.
And it got to the point where I was talking to my mum about it, and my mum was like, I have the day off. I'm going to go to the school and say something. And I asked her to be, don't go in there guns blazing, like it's okay,
So Jackie heads into the school. She's determined to get answers.
So I went in and ended up having to speak, I think it was with 5 ladies in their admin office.
Jackie's asked, why does Alliyah want these documents?
I was trying to be as polite as I could, but it was very clear that they were doubling down to protect the school. I pretty much told them how they'd given Alliyah the runaround, and then they finally had the principal come down.
And Jackie gives them an absolute spray.
I just said to them, I can't understand why you aren't helping my child when they are the victim and it was one of your teachers that molested my child on these school grounds.
So what does the principal say and do?
Well, that same night, an email lands in Alliyah's inbox. It's from the new principal at Logan Village, who's apologetic for the delay. And attached are Alliyah's school records, neatly redacted, so all the names aren't legible. And finally, Alliyah has pages and pages of information. It's another view of their adolescence.
Was there anything in these school records that actually informed Alliyah and helped their case?
Well, you might remember those 2 entries back in 2014, which is how we came to learn that Logan Village Primary did refer Kellie to the Education Department's Ethical Standards Unit.
Yeah.
But in there's no record of what happened next. And neither of the school records has any trace of Alliyah's dad's second complaint to the primary school or any mention of Kellie's transfer. First to Alliyah's high school and then quickly away. No trace of that.
No paper trail, and a lot of these complaints went absolutely nowhere.
As far as the school record goes, that's true. There are records of these small misdemeanors from Alliyah, like suspensions.
Yeah.
Even an entry about Alliyah wearing suede shoes to high school. against the rules, apparently.
Right, okay, yeah.
There's no record to explain why Alliyah's abuser was simply moved on, right? There's no evidence to show who was involved in that decision either.
They must be fairly down about the fact that there's no silver bullet, so to speak, in these records that can help their case. Or do these records tell us something?
Well, there are some clues that these records hold. And Alliyah's maybe not the right person to find them, though. So Alliyah decides to show them to Hannah, that high school teacher who they grew close with at Marsden High.
Why would they show them to Hannah?
Well, there's some things that just jump out to a teacher. And Hannah spots all these signs that she thinks should have been caught.
Looking at those records, somebody had oversight. You're talking self-harm, tumultuous home life, aggression at school, whether it was physical or verbal to teachers, to students. That would definitely raise some red flags.
And it never did.
Part of that is because regular teachers like Hannah wouldn't have been able to access the records that show a lot of Alliyah's troubling behaviours. It's only the guidance officers and the principal who can see the most sensitive ones. Marsden's a huge school, and when Alliyah was there, Hannah says there were only a maximum of 2 guidance officers on the payroll at any given time.
How is 1 or 2 people supposed to be across that many students?
So it's easy for a child to fall through the cracks, so to speak.
Yeah, so Hannah says that because of the size and the demographics of the school, Alliyah's case probably just got missed.
At the time, there were students who had what were deemed more serious cases because we obviously knew. So you're talking about students who are showing up with unwashed uniforms, like they haven't slept in their own house for weeks.
But for Hannah, it doesn't explain the 2016 transfer, where Kellie's transferred in and then out of Marsden.
Which, from memory, was just literally on the first day of school, wasn't it?
Yeah, she really just can't understand why it was missed, why Kellie was able to transfer there in the first place.
That's baffling. How on earth was that allowed to happen? How did the primary school not know? How was it not reported?
She says that it's really the principal's responsibility, and maybe some of the higher-ups in the education department as well, who should have dealt with it. Serious
Student protection concerns go directly to them too. And that, I don't know how much more serious you can get other than, this teacher stayed in contact with a primary school kid they taught.
In statements, the education department said that it's committed to improving the way that it works to prevent and respond to issues of harm against students. Former Marsden principal Andrew Peach said that he was appalled and horrified to hear about the predatory and abusive actions of Kellie Whiteside, and that he only learned of her evil actions through the media last year. Former Logan Village State School principal Alan Bunce said he commends the victims' bravery and courage in coming forward, and extends his thoughts to Alliyah and their family. But they all declined to answer specific questions about Alliyah's case for privacy reasons or to be interviewed.
Perhaps bittersweet for Alliyah to hear those responses.
Yeah, and they're left with questions like, how did the schools miss those signs?
Yeah.
Well, there's one researcher whose work has some clues. 10 years ago, Dr. Amanda Robertson was advising independent schools on how to report allegations of sexual abuse or misconduct against staff.
Okay.
And that's when something caught her attention.
We were starting to kind of notice this pattern of female perpetration, kind of mid-30s, women involving adolescent students, and this anecdotal pattern that compared to similar male perpetration, all stakeholders seem to be treating it quite differently. That includes victims and their families, schools and police.
When the accused was a woman, it wasn't being treated as seriously. Dr. Robertson wanted to see if a bigger study would find the same pattern. And so she scoured through hundreds of allegations in New South Wales from 2015 through to 2019.
So of the 809 cases, about a quarter of those were allegations against women.
So about 25% were against women, but the vast majority were allegations against men.
Yeah, it's probably not as lopsided as you might have expected, right?
No, I must admit, when you gave me that data, I was surprised as much as a quarter were women.
Yeah, when it comes to sexual abuse, you tend to think the perpetrator is going to be a man. And so Dr. Robertson followed this up by interviewing frontline workers, picking over court cases. She ultimately published her PhD about this in 2023, and it looked at how schools and authorities react to allegations against women. And there was something striking and troubling in the data, because when someone first came forward with an allegation of serious sexual offence against a woman,
the data suggested that schools are significantly more likely to take no risk management action beyond reporting to the reportable conduct scheme when that allegation is against a female compared to a male.
I ran Dr. Robertson through the details of Alliyah's case, and like a few others, she honed in on the 2016 transfer of Kellie Whiteside from Logan Village Primary to Marsden High.
Highly concerning. Even if that teacher was moved out of the student's high school, that is a high-risk employee that the Department of Education should be risk managing and making inquiries about.
But when Alliyah was at school, Queensland didn't have an independent regulator looking at how the schools were dealing with allegations against staff. If there was a regulator like the one Dr. Robertson studied in New South Wales,
there would be an external oversight body keeping an eye on that process of inquiry, the finding made and the risk management steps taken.
Queensland's now getting a regulator like that. It's due to start work in 2027. And it wasn't until this year, 2025, that Queensland passed laws that make it illegal for anyone in a position of authority, like a teacher or carer, to have sexual relations with someone under their care who's under 18. Every other state already has laws like that in place.
When the victim's brother had gone to police, if there had been a special care provision at the time, I wonder whether that would have raised just a couple more flags for police to go, actually, that's concerning.
Dr. Robertson's research tells us that Kellie isn't unique. While it's uncommon for a female to offend against someone as young as Alliyah, females can be sexually abusive, as that data pointed to earlier, right? A quarter of the allegations.
Listening to this, I'm sort of saying to myself, well, why does it matter? What makes it, just because it's an unusual case in terms of the two genders, why would that change the outcome of an investigation?
Well, it matters because the signs are the same, but they're interpreted differently. And if their behaviour doesn't raise red flags, female perpetrators might get away with this for longer, which would allow them to become more involved in their victims' lives.
A predator is not a male or a female. It went unchecked by so many people because Kellie was a female. These are the behaviours that are red flags and they need to be called out no matter who's doing them. If it was a male doing any of those things, one of those things, it wouldn't have gone on for 9 years.
If this story has raised issues for you, you can call the National Violence and Abuse Trauma Counselling and Recovery Service on 1-800-FULL-STOP. That's 1-800-385-578. If you're concerned about your own thoughts or behaviour towards children, you can call Stop It Now Australia on 1-800-01-1800. Calls can be made anonymously. Next time on The Favourite.
It's easy to do all this when I don't have to face her, but it's a lot harder when that person's put in front of you.
She's out in public. Why is she not being held behind bars?
Background Briefing's sound producers are Lila Schunner and Ingrid Wagner. Sound engineering and theme composition by Emrys Cronin. Additional music composition by Zoe May. Fact-checking by Justine Landis-Hanley. Our rollout producer is Ben Sveen. The supervising producer is Max Chalmers. And the executive producer is Fanu Falali. The producer on this story is Loretta Florence. The reporter Julian Fell. And I'm Thomas Ariti. The Favourite is a collaboration with ABC News Story Lab. To listen to the series, search The Favourite Background Briefing on the ABC Listen app. Thanks for listening.